Let's stick with the Stack Overflow survey. We kind of hit on some of the acquisitions that Microsoft has made. A lot of them are in scripted languages, which I don't think is any surprise. If you really look at the survey, you'll see with professional developers, especially, that scripted languages are by far the most preferred, by a large margin. It's JavaScript is up there, but then if you look at the top five, it's usually two or three other scripted languages that are making it into that group as well. Um, this holds true for frameworks. And then obviously, it's not just JavaScript. The JavaScript, I believe, is the top in both frameworks and languages, but you also have Python following pretty closely. And if you've been tracking that survey over any amount of time, you'll see that Python is really shooting up that list as well. What do you guys think that that means for the IDE space?
Well, with LSP that was mentioned just before, language over protocol, adding support for additional languages is usually very easy, especially with the library out there of VS Code extension that are for the most part open source.
Mhm.
Well, adding support for these languages in VS Code or TEA nowadays is really easy. Um,
Mhm.
Yep.
I don't think it makes a lot of difference in when you want to program in JavaScript or whatever you have. But I think one difference is that if we're believing that online IDs are the future more or less, and I think stuff like Che or GitHub Codespaces or Gitpod are showing that this is a viable route, then the the choice is not that great, right? You want to do web stuff, you're going to do JavaScript or TypeScript.
Mhm.
At least on you compile to that. Um, and once you have that, it kind of makes. I mean, the Node.js stuff kind of makes sense because then you don't have to live in two worlds. Each time you have two languages in an implementation, it adds overhead in comprehension. That's overhead, and sometimes having different frameworks for reading and writing just over the WebSocket or something.
Mhm.
So I think the implementation of IDEs will move to JavaScript, to TypeScript, because it's in the web. But
Yeah.
on the rest, I don't think it makes a huge difference if you implement the IDE in whether you program in TypeScript. The plugins are the plugins, right? And with the LSP system, you can implement your C language server in C or whatever you want.
Yeah. I oftentimes think about it, and I wonder if IDEs, because these languages are um, becoming so much popular and they're so much easier to run, um, if IDEs won't end up becoming a little bit more lightweight just in general. That's kind of the one of the things that I think about a lot is, we talk about wanting to have a super fast IDE that's really lightweight, but then we pack all of these extensions into it, and um, it doesn't take too many big extensions to make your lightweight IDE. It's something that's a little more clunky, a lot slower, and requires a bit more of a computer to actually run it.